All right, here we go. We are live on Chicago Bears Now. Happy Thursday, everybody. My name is Harrison Graham. Sorry for the slight delay. We were waiting for the injury report, and then we were like, screw it, we'll just start. And then right as we were about to hit stream, the injury report dropped. So we'll bring that to all of you in the next several minutes, but plenty to discuss as the Bears get ready for the Commanders on Monday Night Football. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us today. We got Cullen on the ones and twos as always. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. And we were just talking about pre-show. If the Bears somehow were to win this game, because I've done this show full time since the 2020 season, I think you can make an argument it's the biggest win in channel history just for the momentum it could create for the team, for this show. I think if they beat the Commanders with all the storylines on Monday night, we'll be throwing quite a party deep into the night on Monday, I think.
I mean, listen, in terms of this channel's history, obviously you can speak to that more than me, but since I've been here, yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Look, I mean, obviously we know what happened last year. We've been talking about it all week. The players have been talking about it. Ben, Caleb, the whole team's kind of, even Tyreek Stevenson, everybody's addressed what happened last year. And look, just in terms of, the simple fact that not only is it a revenge game for this team, but also, as you mentioned, Harry, if the Bears come out of the bye, win this game against the Commanders, you start looking ahead at their schedule, and you could really kind of snowball this thing in terms of kind of building some positive momentum. Obviously, in the NFC, as we've talked about, the NFC does seem pretty loaded this year, and Commanders are going to be a team that you're going to be jockeying for position with coming down to this 2025 season. So if you can get a win here on Monday Night Football, I mean, good things could be ahead for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge game. Are you hearing that cracking in my ear, by the way? Is that you? Is that me? Okay, we'll try to get that figured out. Might be having an audio issue, but yeah, this is a big game for a lot of different reasons. So hopefully the Bears can get it done. I'll get some shout outs for you guys in the chat here. We got let's see, Walter hanging out, Carrick and Bourbonnais. We got Mighty Joe in Kalamazoo, Don in Washington, Kiddis in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Splash Boys in Iowa. French, but near Barcelona. Okay. We got Denny in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was up in Traverse City last weekend for a wedding. Alex in the Virgin Islands. Joshua in Phoenix. Let's see. Upland, California. Chicago from Nick. Okay. No. We'll figure it out. We should be good here. Big game. That's the point. Big game. All right, we'll get this first super chat on screen here as we roll along here, and then we'll get to the injury stuff here in a few minutes. All right, Dennis, haven't ate. What is y'all's go-to Subway order? Dude, I haven't had Subway in years.
Fat minute.
My go-to growing up was the Italian sub. Is that what they call it? Just the Italian? I liked the Italian sub. Trying to think what else I've gotten there. Their steak sandwich is all right. Subway's fine. Like I think when you're younger, you like it better. But then you get older, you try different sandwich places. I wouldn't say no to it, but it's not really like a go-to for me. So
when Subway used to be cheaper than what they are even now, that was a game changer.
I will say, like the $5 footlong era, that was kind of like Little Caesars. Like you kind of understood that. I'm wondering if this is mine actually. Did you guys hear that crack a minute ago? Let me know. We're hearing some audio stuff on our end, so guys, let us know. But yeah, I think once inflation caught up to Subway as well, it kind of lost its power. It's like. You were never going in there thinking you were having the best sub ever, but you could get a footlong for $5, and if you were really hungry, you could eat it all, or it could turn into 2 meals. So, they could hear those cracks. So we'll monitor that. We're not Okay, it's definitely mine because you're unplugged. All right, Colin, plug yourself back in, and
Yep.
I'm going to try to fix this here
Yep.
on my end.
Here.
Sorry, guys. We don't want to start our content and have a bunch of cracks in here, so hang tight.
For sure. Here, I'm just going to mute you real quick. All right. Yeah, so in terms of the, Subway question, I think, like, the safest in terms of anytime, we're getting sandwiches from a new spot or anything, same as Harry, I usually go Italian, but recently as I've gotten older, became more of a buffalo chicken guy. So, I don't know. It's pretty good. All right, Anthony. Bears and Dodgers fan from Cali. Can't wait to play the Brew Crew. Yeah, listen, I was talking to some of our Cubs fans in the office, and listen, optimistic, right? Huge win for the Cubbies here yesterday, and listen, I mean, you're here. You just got to, win in advance. So, obviously, the rivalry with the Brewers. I'm pulling for the Cubs. I want to see the Cubbies succeed. Baseball's better when the Cubs are doing well. So, hopefully the Cubs win. All right, Wasim. He says, bear down, F last year, new staff, mindset, new results. I agree. Look, you're obviously, we've talked about it. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Like, the whole aspect of this game is, yes, remembering last year, acknowledging it, but it's time to move forward. And kind of similarly to, Harry kind of mentioned it when we were talking about Matt Eberflus in the game against the Cowboys. Like, let's just try to put it behind us in the rearview mirror. Because obviously, you go through that last year, and listen, I mean, it's, not the easiest thing to, in terms of obviously remembering that.
Jeez.
Is it?
All right. Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but it cracked again. I'm just going to have to switch headsets, so give me another minute or so.
Yep. But yeah, I definitely think that this is an opportunity this weekend, right? Like, this is definitely something where, look, if the Bears can win, just from a mindset perspective, I mean, obviously you want to win every week, but this one in particular feels different. It really does. So, yeah. They definitely heard it. Harry's going to switch headsets, guys. So he'll be back here in just a moment. Just kind of holding it down here. We've got Mike coming in and says, Caleb needs to outplay Jaden, ? I mean, not necessarily. I mean, obviously, look, people have been talking about this matchup. They're two former top 2 picks in their respective draft class. Like, these guys are going to be connected together. So obviously that matchup between those two is going to be heavily featured, not only on the broadcast, but kind of throughout their history, right? Like, that's without a doubt. To me, the Bears, if they play a clean game, like, they can beat this Commanders team. We'll kind of get into the injury reports for both the Commanders and the Bears here, but it sounds like Terry McLaurin's not going to play for the Commanders. So Jaden Daniels might have to kind of sit there and shoulder a big portion of load. Obviously, Jacory Krosky-Merritt's one of their rookie running backs that's been running the ball really well. They may try to lean on that game too. So I think Caleb, will continue to have to do his part and, continue to play well as he's done for the most part this season. But I do think, this is going to come down to the Bears aspect of also, building a rushing attack to kind of complement Caleb Williams and also, defend the run at a high level. So, yeah, that's just kind of my opinion. Harry, let's...
All right, hopefully this headset works better. Borrowed Chase's since he doesn't use a headset anymore. But Caleb and he's outplayed Jaden. I mean, usually that's the case, right? Like, in the NFL, these teams there's a lot of parity. Typically, the better QB wins. Not always. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think if the game is close, it's which quarterback plays better late. That's kind of what happened last year, right? Jaden, throughout the course of the game, was the better quarterback, but Caleb finished the game really strong and put him in position to win. And obviously, we know what happened after that. So we'll see how it goes. And, I think the key is, and we'll kind of talk about this too, and Caleb Williams talked about this game and some other topics. And I feel pretty comfortable if this game is close late that Caleb's going to give you a chance to win. Now, I don't expect every situation in his career moving forward. If you need a game-winning or a go-ahead drive for him to deliver, it's just unrealistic to do it every time. But in those situations, he's been pretty good in his career. So if they get into that spot, I think I feel pretty confident there. So, I think that's the goal in most games, but especially on the road and these kind of toss-up games, like get to the fourth quarter with the chance. Like have it be a game late and go try to take it. So get the Bear Downs in the comments if you want the Bears to get revenge on the Commanders. Let's make it happen. Saquads, that's a good super chat. If you count like the pregame coverage,
Over.
I would take over. During the game, I mean, 7 times is actually a lot. Like, are you coming out of every break showing the Hail Mary?
I mean, it just like, are we
There's
talking about?
going to be multiple.
There is going to be multiple. My whole thing is just that, like, maybe during halftime too, like they bring it up a couple times.
If it's close at halftime, if it's close going into the fourth
quarter.
Certainly if it's close at the 2-minute. Like, I still think like 7 times like that during the actual game broadcast. I mean, there's only so many opportunities like to show that. I mean, it's definitely going to be shown a lot when you factor in the pregame coverage and all that.
Think about it though, like once pregame, maybe even twice pregame.
Okay, if we're counting pregame, I'll even give it twice during pregame. They're going to show it 5 times during the game?
Maybe. Here's the thing. Now, what are we counting?
Like, when are you? Okay, let me ask you this: when are they going to it during the game?
So I
random timeout in the second quarter. They're showing the Hail Mary.
They might. I mean,
why? Why would?
Here's the thing: because they may like just because to try to play up the. It may be kind of one of those like not really talked about like necessarily in that moment, but we all remember last year.
They will have a scripted moment.
Yes,
where they show it. But that's only once, twice at most. Let's even give them 2. So 2 pregame, 2 during the game. Hell, I'll give them 1 at halftime. That's 5. You find it 2 more times. If it's close late, they'll show it 1 more time.
Yep.
I guess they could
feel
show
like it's a good number, say quads have 2.
That's like on the high end though. I think I'd go 4.5 as the over.
Honestly, y'all let us know down in the chat. How many times do you think they will bring up during the entire broadcast?
Starting with Monday Night Countdown.
Yeah, starting with pregame all the way until the clock strikes 0.
If the game is close, there's a chance it could be over. If it's not, no chance. Like, if it's actually not close, like if it's a 2-score game going
if
to
it's
the
a
fourth
blowout,
quarter,
then probably not, no. But I'm also trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, like, all right, it's going to be a close battle.
Kidda says they should show Harry's reaction. That would be something.
That, hands down, that's one of my
I will say this, if there's actually a scenario where a Hail Mary could be in play for either team late, every time they take a timeout, they could show it, I guess, and just have different angles. They'll have a Tyreek Stevenson. If Tyreek Stevenson makes a big play, they could show it and be like, well, redemption for Tyreek. This is what he was doing last. If you're counting like that as a showing too, just him ISO looking at the crowd, even if it's not the full play.
That's what I'm saying.
If that counts, then okay.
That's what I'm saying too. Because at some point they're going to bring up Caleb versus Jaden, and they'll bring up that matchup last year, and we all know how that matchup.
They'll probably have a clip from Tyreek during the week talking to the media, and they might show it then.
Yep. Right. I think it could be a sneaky number. It could be. Now,
I would take the under, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, the betting odds would favor under 6.5. But I'm saying
I think Dennis is onto something here. Bring it up or show it. Bring it up 7 times, show it 5. If we're talking about just verbal mentions, I would probably take the over.
Yeah, because I think
just any kind of reference to it.
Yeah, because the question, or at least on screens, is times they bring up the Hail Mary. Now, in terms of actually showing the visual play. Agreed. Yeah, they're not going to show the clip just throughout the game. I mean, that would just be...
It's Buck and Aikman, Dennis. It's the ABC game. It's a doubleheader, so I think it's the B team is taking the other game, Fowler and those boys.
Yeah, Harry's reaction is not safe for TV.
They'd have to bleep out a lot probably, so... All right, Mr. Big Fella, hot take, biggest game in half a decade. I was trying to think biggest... I mean, hell, you could argue the game last year was pretty big. I mean, there was still that lingering feeling like, is this coaching staff actually good? But had they won that game, Colin, they would have been 5-2, firmly in the playoff picture. So we'll never know what would have played out after that. I'm not saying they would have gone on to the NFC Championship game, but I do think that game derailed their season in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, it feels pretty big. It feels pretty big. It's one of the bigger ones in a while, that's for sure.
Yeah, last year's game turned out to be the beginning of the end for Matt Eberflus and that kind of whole tenure. This year it feels like this is the bigger game in terms of like trajectory for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Because regardless, again, barring some unforeseen circumstances, I'd imagine both Caleb and Ben here next year, kind of leading the way as the head coach and quarterback.
Yeah.
So
this game doesn't feel as consequential big picture in terms of like who's going to be here, who's not.
right.
But it's pretty big in the sense of like it's almost bigger if you win it. If you lose it, it's like not like the end of the world by any means. But
more
if
of a
you
bummer.
win it, it's like that's kind of a statement. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, like this team could do something this year potentially. So all right, Sitch Lover, Poles hitting golf balls is a bad look for a last place GM. No leadership, can't read the room, not self-aware. This guy needs to go now. Yeah, I don't want to like make that more than what it is. That was probably just something the social media team came up with. I don't think Ryan Poles goes to the social teams like, "Hey, I'm going to hit golf balls in the stadium." Like I just so listen, I get it. Poles is low-hanging fruit, but like I'm not going to just overreact to every little thing that happens. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I will say, and we'll talk about it a little bit more today as one of our segments into the show. If you kind of look at the NFC North, and obviously, we do this with quarterbacks all the time where, Caleb, where he ranks in the NFC North, you can make the debate where he ranks between, J.J. McCarthy, Jordan Love, and obviously Jared Goff.
He's
Poles-
better than JJ right now. I don't
sure.
care that they lost week 1.
For sure. But, I'm saying, with quarterbacks, for example, that's
Mm-hmm.
what you would argue. I think with GMs, you could make the argument Ryan Poles might be kind of in his own class in terms of fourth GM. In this division.
He's easily. I mean, what's his name? I would say is the best right now. Holmes in Detroit.
In Detroit. And then you have the guy in Green Bay. Who they normally draft.
I'd probably go Gutekunst too.
Gutekunst, thank you. And then Kwesi is probably third.
Yeah, I mean, Kwesi's kind of a mixed bag. They haven't drafted super consistent, but he's made some good moves. So, yeah, I mean, Poles is definitely fourth out of the 4 right now. I mean, no question about that. So
And again, I've never really kind of been, firm which side I kind of land on. When you kind of factor in that he's kind of firmly fourth, I mean,
yeah.
Not great look.
I know people are asking about Brisker. They've labeled it a quad injury. He did not practice. Neither did a few other guys. We will get to that shortly. All right, Hendrickson was really hoping to see a trade in the bye. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're trying to force the issue on anything right now. I think this game could dictate a lot on potential trade front. Like if you win, then you beat the Saints next week, potentially you get to 4-2. It's like, okay, do they enter buyer mode? Like, do they try to go get an impactful player on either side of the ball? Certainly a possibility. If they lose and, maybe they're floating around 500 at the deadline, do they kind of just stand pat? Like, it is year 1 of Ben Johnson. Even though it's year 4 with the GM, you don't want to make a move just to make a move. I think there's got to be like a legitimate reason to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do think this game could dictate a lot in terms of like what their status is when the trade deadline gets here. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Do they go after an edge? Do they have to go after a potential running back? Obviously, as you mentioned, they need to prove that they're kind of serious in this, kind of contention mode of where they sit as a team right now. But, listen, could it be potential Breece Hall? Could it be a Trey Hendrickson? Could it be somebody else that's out there on the market that Ryan Poles could go after? We've talked about it before. He's had a history of making deals at the deadline. It just kind of feels like this could be a season where clearly the Bears have shown potential. They're not the same team as they were last year, but they do have some holes on this roster that can be addressed by making some moves. It just depends on, which ones they want.
Well, and you wonder, too, like the power dynamics, how much say and pull does Ben have in, trying to make a move. That's somewhat unknown. I like these 2 questions from Anthony. And
I love Harry's beard.
Can we save these for the
Sure.
mailbag? We'll start with those in the mailbag here in about 15 minutes. So Anthony, I love Harry's beard. We'll get to you guys in a second. Hit that like button. We got to hop into the latest injury news first, so we will do that. Got 440 people watching. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to over 100 likes. We would greatly appreciate it because here's what we got coming up here on Chicago Bears Now, the latest injury news for both teams. The Bears didn't practice today, but they did put out some injury estimates after practicing the last couple of days. We will take your questions, #Bears or Super Chat to get on the show. There's a big problem that the Bears need to fix, and ideally very quickly. And Caleb Williams talked about this matchup and much more, and I have some thoughts on what he had to say. So plenty to get to here on the show, so stay tuned for that. Let's get into it here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. We got a lot to get into on the injury front when it comes to the Chicago Bears and the Washington Commanders. First injury reports of the week dropped as this game is set for Monday night, so normally it would be Wednesday, but since they play Monday, the first reports drop on Thursday. Now, for the Bears, before we get to their injury report, it is an off day for them on the practice front. They decided to practice Tuesday and Wednesday, with Tuesday being the first full practice of the week instead of Wednesday. And so they took an off day today, and then they'll be back out there Friday and Saturday before, Sunday, kind of a rest, recover day before the game on Monday. But they are required to put out an injury report, which they did, but they are estimates, so they're relative. But with 2 practices already in the books this week, I think it's probably a fairly accurate representation of what they saw on the practice field the last couple of days. So we'll get to that in just a second. But listen, if you want Chicago Bears content every single day, all year long, doesn't matter if it's during the season, the off season, the dead parts of the calendar, we're bringing you at minimum 1 video per day, but typically at least 2, if not more. We go live 3 days per week. Mondays, Thursday, game days. We're bringing you free content. Hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support the show. All right, the Bears injury report has dropped, and I tweeted this not in a fun way. It almost feels like they're more injured coming out of the bye week in certain areas now. There are some positives, but we'll get to the kind of negative side of it first. We all wanted to know what's going on with Jaquan Brisker, who didn't practice on Tuesday and Wednesday. He's been labeled with a quad injury, so we'll see how that progresses throughout the week. Hopefully he can practice on Friday, but he did not practice. Grady Jarrett did not practice as well. He's dealing with that knee issue. He played through it for a few weeks, but kind of feels like they're going to kind of take the cautious approach now and try to get him healthy, so don't know if he'll play this week. New player to monitor, Kyle Monungai with a thigh injury, did not practice. Again, these are estimates, but I wonder if he got banged up yesterday in yesterday's padded practice. Then Darnell Wright, still dealing with that elbow injury, did not practice. Now, as you take a look at some of the guys who are limited, still don't love that Kyler Gordon is limited, guys. He has been adamant he is going to play. He practiced before the bye week. He's practiced Tuesday and Wednesday, but I guess not full throttle, so hopefully he's fine. Jonah Jackson limited as well, and then Colson Loveland limited. I think those 2 guys should be fine. I expect Kyler to play, but it's just like, golly, man, it's been over a month. Like, you got to get this guy fully ready to go. Speaking of full, TJ Edwards practiced in full. So did Travis Homer and Austin Booker, who are eligible to return from short-term IR. Their practice windows were open this week, so good sign for both those guys, especially Booker. This team needs a boost in its pass rush. And then Cairo Santos in full, so doesn't sound like they're going to need Jake Moody this week. Seems like he's going to be just fine. But those DMPs, and then I'll throw Kyler Gordon in there, those are the ones to watch Friday and Saturday in their next couple of days of practices before Monday night football. And that's where I'll ask you guys this question. Which injury concerns you the most? I think in big picture for all of it, I would go Darnell Wright with the elbow injury, because it's certainly looking like for this week you're going to go with Theo Benedict at left tackle and Ozzie Trapillo at right tackle. That's a little scary, right? I mean, I know the Theo thing, they're benching Braxton Jones. At worst, it's probably similar type of results. At best, maybe it's a minor upgrade. Ozzie Trapillo thought he did some good things in his first action at right tackle, but first career start, that's a big ask on the road. So, yeah, I think Darnell not playing this week, and who knows for how long, that's obviously a concern. And then obviously Brisker, good news, doesn't sound like it's a concussion, labeled it as a quad injury, so that's a positive, but still unclear if he'll play this week, and if he doesn't, how much time he will miss. You guys let us know which injury concerns you the most. All right, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I've hit a lot of lineups recently, I'm not going to lie, and I got a little lineup tonight that I'll tell you guys about in a minute for a little Thursday night football action, but wanted to tell you about a cool feature Prize Picks now has on the app. It's a feature where you can follow other Prize Picks players, including me if you want to. Copy their lineups in one click if you want to, whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. The way Prize Picks works is simple. You just pick more or less on stat projections for players, regardless of sport. You can cross over sports in your lineups. At least 2 players, up to 6 players in your lineups. Pick more or less. If you hit, you win money. I got a 3-player lineup tonight. Jahan Dotson, more than 1.5 targets in this game. Just need Jalen Hurts to throw the ball his way twice. I'll be good there. I like the more on Jackson Dart's passing yards. I know they're banged up at receiver, and I know the Eagles have a good defense, but even if they're playing from behind, that actually might be ideal. Garbage time stats, 177.5 pass yards. I'll take the more on that. And then Saquon Barkley against his former team. Yeah, goblin play to score a touchdown, rushing or receiving. I like him to score in this one. $20 to win $85 on this 3-player lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, let's get to the Commanders' injury report now. Terry McLaurin doesn't sound good for his chances of playing in this game, which that's good news for the Bears. Ian Rappaport says, quote, not looking good for Terry McLaurin. Here's the full quote he had on NFL Network saying, McLaurin, who's been battling a hip flexor injury, officially called a quad, but really more of a hip flexor, though, did not practice yesterday for the Commanders. He was referring to Wednesday. That does not bode well for his status. You would think he would need to have to practice or have a full practice to play on Monday. Well, he also did not practice again today, so he has not even been limited. Now, he was off to the side, but didn't have a practice jersey on, so he was just hanging out. I don't think he's going to be playing in this football game, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But also, his running mate, Deebo Samuel, did not practice either, as he was listed with a heel/rest designation. Now, he was dealing with the heel issue last week during the week. They kind of kept his practice reps down, and he ended up playing and actually had a touchdown. So I do expect him to play. But when you look at this wide receiver depth chart, Terry McLaurin dealing with an injury, Deebo not 100%, Noah Brown was limited. I think he'll play, but he was limited as well. A name to watch is Luke McCaffrey. I think he's only caught 7 balls this year, but he's averaging over 20 yards per catch. He's kind of having a mini breakout in his second NFL season. My guess is that we see Deebo on Monday and we don't see Terry McLaurin. That is what I would figure is going to be the scenario here. Now, until he's out, you never know, but hip flexor, that does not sound great for T-Mac. I don't think they want to force the issue there if he is not close to 100%. And that's advantage Bears because you're getting Kyler Gordon back, you think. I know he was limited today when it comes to the Chicago Bears cornerback room, but I think if Terry McLaurin is out, you've got some matchups that you feel pretty darn good about in this game. So hopefully the Bears can take advantage of that. You know, initially I said if Terry McLaurin plays, I would shadow with Tyreek Stevenson, but now I think you can kind of just line up straight up. I don't think you shadow Deebo. He's kind of a shifty, different type of receiver. So I think you'll see him line up in the slot quite a bit. Obviously, if Kyler's playing, he'll be on him a decent amount. But you can kind of just play straight up with Nashawn Wright and Tyreek Stevenson. And if one of those guys is giving, or one of their receivers is giving Nashawn Wright issues, then you could shadow if needed. But if Terry's not out there, I don't think there's really anybody you need to shadow for. So if I'm Dennis Allen, I'm stacking the box, and I'm selling out's a strong word, but I'm really keying in on the Commanders' run game. They are the best rushing attack in the NFL. Obviously, Jaden's a threat, but Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt is having a breakout here the last couple of weeks. The 7th-round rookie that can run the ball with Jeremy McNichols and their other guys. Cliff Kingsbury is just really creative as a run game designer, and the Bears have had major issues stopping the run. So bring an extra body in the box. This is where you would miss Jaquan Brisker, by the way. But with Kyler Gordon, he should help. TJ Edwards is back, so he can help as well. well. If you need to bring in a 7th guy in the box versus a standard 6, bring in an 8th guy sometimes, I would do that because these numbers are abysmal. You're second to last in yards allowed on the ground, and you're dead last in yards per carry allowed. That has to change, and if the Commanders are thin at the wide receiver position, just more reason to bring more people in the box and try to slow down their rushing attack. Now, you look at the Commanders' injury report as a whole. Chris Rodriguez also did not practice for Washington. A couple of guys who were limited. I mentioned Noah Brown, also John Bates as well. Sam Cosmi is one to watch. Obviously, Jaden's full. He's fine. That knee issue seems to be mostly behind him now. But Cosmi, who is in line to return, Jack Sperry, our Commanders report host, confirmed that as well. He's a big upgrade over Andrew Wiley at right guard. You know, Wiley started at right tackle, but then they've kicked him inside to guard, and Josh Connerly, the rookie's been playing right tackle. So now Cosmi over Wiley at right guard is what that looks like. So they're feeling a lot better about that offensive line unit if Cosmi ends up playing. They paid him this offseason. So that is a nice reinforcement for Washington in this game. And again, the Bears' defensive line hasn't been very good. So going up against a couple of really good offensive linemen, obviously Tunsil at left tackle, Bears are going to have their challenges. So we'll see what Dennis Allen dials up here. All right, predict the score. Bears, Commanders, who wins, and what is the final score going to be? Let us know in the comments section of this video. I predicted Bears 26-24 earlier in the week. I reserve the right to change that, and I could, depending on what the injury situation ends up being like, but drop your score predictions right now. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this show. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend that this is the place for Bears content. All right, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. My wife just called. Let me see.
If y'all want to give y'all score predictions, I'll give some shout-outs. We got Ben, a Bears fan, says 34-24 Bears. We got Ron Winarski saying 38-10 Bears. Nash says it's funny. He said your old headset must have been a Turtle Beach.
Oh, gosh. Great gaming headsets. Not so much for this.
Thomas says bear down. Bears 27-17. Gage to 73-0. Shout out to Gage. McMuffin 23-20 Bears. Rockhard says the Bears 37-17. Bears 15-18 from Bears. Hopefully that's a to win. All Knowing also says 73-0. So 2 73-0 for the Bears.
That would be something.
Be pretty nuts.
They win 73-0. I mean, I might put in a Super Bowl future. So
it'd be very reminiscent. So
that would be.
I mean, 73-0. I mean that's worse than the Dolphins Broncos game from what was it last season? So
what was that? No, 70 to 30 in 2023? I think it was 70.
Or yeah, it was 2023, not last season. Excuse me.
Remember, they were ready to run Vance Joseph out of town again.
Yep.
And then now they're one of the best defenses in the league. So
crazy how they.
After they gave up 70, the Bears played them, and Justin Fields was actually having a career game, and then they blew a 28-7 lead and lost. Good times. That was one of 3 games that year that the Bears blew when they had a 91% chance or better to win in the fourth quarter. Absolutely unbelievable.
Hopefully it's a new era, because we don't.
That's what we're hoping for, man.
That's rough.
For. All right, mailbag time. We already got a couple super chats we're going to work in here. Obviously, hashtag Bears. Adam, we get it. You don't have to spam it 50 times. Appreciate it, though. Hashtag Bears super chat. We will work you guys in, and then we got plenty more to come. So stick with us here on a Thursday.
We're going to make sure we get any Anthony and I Love Harry's beard also.
Yes. Let's get those in there.
Yeah, so we'll make sure we get that.
I'm with you, Chris. I like both those backs. I like Jeremiah Love and Price. Their second back is good, too.
Love just to me, like,
Love's the most complete back, I think.
He, to me, is going to be one of those just running backs that's going to be good in the NFL for damn near a decade. Like, he just seems to me like he's going to be, as long as he doesn't go to an offensively challenged team, at least somebody that knows what they're doing, he's going to be a stud.
I would love him in this offense. My mind is telling me they got to address other areas, but I mean they're going to have to upgrade at running back, but there would have to be some either major improvements in the trenches between now and the end of the season, or additions in other avenues, trades, free agency, whatever,
Which
to not take an elite offensive or defensive lineman in the first round. I mean, got to go BPA, but
we also have to see how this season turns out too.
No, I know. That's why I said, there'd have to be some improvements, and
or just some changes.
Or different additions, yeah.
Let's just, realistic scenario. Darnell Wright doesn't play this week. You get Ozzie playing at right tackle, Theo Benedict playing at left tackle. Let's say just one of them has a decent game. Darnell probably would slide back to right, take over for Ozzie. But if Ozzie has the great game at right tackle, is there more discussions of Darnell potentially playing left?
I mean, look.
If Theo struggles, obviously.
The ideal scenario is they don't enter the offseason thinking they need a left tackle.
Yes.
Because then that just adds another need that you did not anticipate coming into this year. Because I just think with the volume of tackles, they just assumed they'd have one. And right now, if the season ended today, I don't know if you could confidently say you have a long-term left tackle.
No.
So,
but you might have two starting capable right tackles. So,
yeah, I mean, look, I know the Darnell thing and people are frustrated, maybe even the coaching staff is. To me, he's a clear starting tackle in this league. Now, two questions. One, can he play left tackle? That's somewhat of an unknown. He did for at least one season at Tennessee. Didn't go great, but he probably also wasn't fully developed as a prospect. So I think he's got the physical tools to do it. B, can he become a great player? I think he's a good player, but I think there are mental lapses of focus that cost him. Obviously, the penalties, especially the pre-snap ones. And then, I think there's been some chatter about is his conditioning where it needs to be. So those things could be holding him back from being great. I still think he's a really good player. So the question is, A, can he play on the left side? And B, do you trust him enough to give him a big contract long-term regardless of right or left tackle? Got another year on his contract, so you have time to figure that out. But, yeah, those are kind of the questions. All right, speaking of questions, we're about to take yours. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. Let's get to it here on Chicago Bears Now. Can't Cover Rome kicks off our Bears mailbag. My name is Harrison Graham. He says, if the Bengals keep losing, could trading for Trey Hendrickson happen? Well, there has been some chatter that this could recirculate, not even necessarily with the Bears, but just in general, as obviously Cincinnati's having a rough go of it. I mean, when you trade for Joe Flacco, you're pretty desperate. So could things change? Hendrickson's having another good year. His pass rush grade per PFF is in the 90s again. He has 21 pressures. I mean, he's who he's been, right? A dominant pass rusher, a fine run defender, but you're not bringing him in to stop the run. You're bringing him in to affect the quarterback, which the Bears need a lot more of. They have 5 guys with 1 sack in 4 games. Not nearly good enough. Obviously, Montez Sweat is not living up to his contract, and I think that would be the challenge here because Sweat's making $24.5 million. Dio Adengbo's making $16. You've paid Grady Jarrett some money. I think you would have to probably get off of Montez Sweat's contract, trade him separately for I don't know, 5th round pick or something, day 3 pick, just to get out of the money to bring in Hendrickson. Now, Hendrickson's cap hit for a team that trades for him is only $16 million, but that's actually prorated down by the week. So, every week that goes by, it basically goes down $1 million. We're already 5 weeks in, so it'll probably be $11 million. If it's closer to the deadline, it's probably more like $8 million. So you could, in theory, probably absorb that even with Sweat on the roster, but long term, you would not have Sweat, Adengbo, and Trey Hendrickson. And considering you just signed Adengbo, I think Sweat would probably end up being the odd man out. That would be my guess. So is it possible? Certainly. He would help quite a bit. This pass rush sucks. So, Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. You beat Washington, you stack a couple wins, you want to get aggressive. Day 2 pick for Trey Hendrickson. I'm not giving up a 1 for him, but get him for a second or a third. I think that's something I would consider under the right circumstances. Would you trade a day 2 pick for Trey Hendrickson? Because remember, he is in a contract year, free agent after this year, so you'd have to be prepared to extend him, just like you did with Montez Sweat, which felt awesome at the time and has not paid off. So type T for trade, K for keep. Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, Anthony here, $5 super chat. He says, I don't think this is a must-win. It would be nice to be 3-2, but I think we'll be fine even if we lose. Yeah, I agree. I think this is a big game. It becomes bigger if you win it. If you lose, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I think more so, like, I don't think this team would fold if they lost like they did last year. But I think more so, like, this could be like a launch point game. Like, if you could win this game, then you got the Saints coming to town. That's a game you're going to be heavily favored in, probably regardless, but especially if you win. You could get to 4-2 there, feeling really good about yourself. So I'm with you. I wouldn't label it a must-win, but I would label it a statement win if you got it. And I think your expectations, you could start talking playoffs again if you get it. So hopefully they do. That'd be nice. I love Harry's beard. My wife also likes it. If they, Chicago, win this game on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that they make the postseason? I mean, if right now, I think I saw something like their playoff chances are like 28%, crowded NFC. You know, there's obviously still questions about the Bears. You know, does it jump to like 50-50 if you win this game? You're 3-2. Again, winnable games coming up. Saints at home. Ravens and Bengals on the road, but Baltimore's have a litany of injuries. The Bengals without Burrow, we'll see how it looks with Flacco, but I don't think it's going to be much better than it was with Jake Browning. Giants come to town. You got some games you could win here. So, yeah, I think if you win this game, like I said, the thought of playoffs re-enters the mind, right? It's like, okay, there's a path here. But if you lose it, not that that's over, it's a lot harder because it's a crowded NFC, and you know, you wouldn't have the tiebreaker against Washington, a team that, in theory, you could be competing with for a playoff spot. All right, today's show is sponsored by Ethos. Life insurance is important, fellas, and Ethos is going to get you life insurance in quick and easy fashion. It's one of the most important investments you'll make, life insurance. And now with Ethos, you can get covered and protected in minutes with rates as low as $2 per day. Billed monthly, you can also get up to $3 million in total coverage. As a husband, as a dad, having life insurance is absolutely vital, and it's something I do not take lightly. Ethos is revolutionizing the insurance industry with a 100% online process and can provide protection for you and your loved ones. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. They have no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. Their 100% online and hassle-free process makes it easy to apply. You'll get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house, which is absolutely awesome. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. They have a 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 2,400 reviews. So don't wait any longer. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/NFL Daily /NFL Daily to get a free quote. Application times may vary, rates may vary as well. So go check it out. Link is in the comments and in the description. Check out Ethos today, ethos.com/NFL Daily. All right, super chat coming in. Bears fan for life. Appreciate the 5. How likely? I think you mean how likely is it that Poles will trade for an edge or a running back before the deadline? Like a notable one or a minor move? I don't know. We know he likes trading. I'll give it 30%. I mean, I think there's a decent chance. Would I anticipate a major move? I mean, it's hard to predict that if a team's going to make a big move. I think you'll hear some chatter increase if they win this game. I think you'll kind of hear like if the Bears beat the Saints, they're 4-2. Do they kind of try to go for it a little bit? So I think the picture will become more clear in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, those are two areas that could certainly improve. Colton Steen, #Bears. Any chance Brisker plays Monday? Have we heard anything new about Jalen John's potential late season return? Jalen was on the radio earlier this week, I think, or late last week. I think it was early this week, and on the Score, and he said he's feeling good and that there is a chance he could return. He said he's not putting a timetable on it. I think it's one of those where, he tried to get back and he got injured again. I don't think he would return unless he's absolutely 100%. Brisker on Monday. If depending on when you guys were watching this, you may have a clearer answer. As we're filming this Thursday, he did not practice, so unclear on that. If you're a die-hard Bears fan, raise your hand. How many of you guys did that at home? Probably 0. But if you want to support the show, subscribe, hit the button. It's free. We would appreciate it. William Bomer, is Tony Pollard a name to keep an eye on for a possible trade? That's an interesting one. The Titans aren't that deep at running back, though, so do you want to take away Cam Ward's RB1 if you're Tennessee? Also, is there a big difference between Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift? They're kind of similar to me. Pollard might be a little more decisive as a runner, but they're kind of both. They got decent skill sets. They're more than scat backs, but they're less than bell cows. Yeah, I don't know if Pollard actually makes a ton of sense. I mean, if it's like a 7th-round pick or something, sure, but I wouldn't trade anything notable for him. Chris, it's a good sign if Kyler Gordon is out there. Yeah, he was limited on Thursday, but he said this week he's playing, so hopefully that's the case. Haven't seen him yet this year. I think he can help in a lot of ways. Run support can give you some more options to play even more man coverage. You can blitz him. So, yeah, Dennis Allen spoke highly of him when he took this job, so seems like he has a lot of plans for him. Get those score predictions in. Bears, Commanders, who wins, and what is the score at the end of the day? Want to know from you guys down in the comments section below who wins and what's the score. Dylan, Rachaad White had a massive game last week. Sorry, Colin, what's your thoughts on him? Maybe being a day 3 pick instead of a top 15 bat, Breece Kamara or Achane. I just don't think the Bucs are moving him. For one, Bucky Irving's injured. 2, I kind of thought maybe Sean Tucker coming into this year would be their 2 ahead of White, but that has not been the case. I don't see why Tampa would move him, even if Bucky Irving's healthy. Rachaad White has shown a lot. It seems like Sean Tucker could be available. I mean, he only had 3 carries in that game despite Bucky Irving not playing, but I don't think Rachaad White's getting moved. So, Kiddis, do you think a trade for Crosby could be on the table, and how much do you think it would take? I would be shocked by this one. For one, his contract's massive. For 2, I mean, you're talking at least a 1 and a day 2 pick. It might be 2 1s. I think the Raiders would demand a lot. Like, I think their starting point would be the Micah package. 2 firsts, and what was it, 2 firsts and a defensive tackle. So, like, even if it ended up being slightly less, it's still going to cost a lot. I don't think the Bears have that big of a swing in them at the deadline, and you'd have to move some money around to make it work. Again, you'd probably have to – I mean, if they would take Montez Sweat back, great, or if you moved him in a separate trade, cool, but that seems a little rich for what's realistic for this team. I think Crosby could get moved, but I think it would be more for a true, like, Super Bowl contender, or that's a player that we revisit in the offseason for teams when it comes to Max Crosby. All right, some really good questions there. Appreciate you guys for firing them in here in the live chat. If you have more questions, find me on social media at HGramNFL, both on Twitter and Instagram. We will continue the conversation over there. Bear down. All right.
Thanks, Dylan.
What'd Dylan say?
Oh, it was just
the Rachaad White. Yeah, it's brutal.
It's not good. I think Rachaad White actually would complement Swift.
I like him. Do you agree with me?
No, I agree. I agree. Especially, with Bucky's injury and
even if not, like, I thought Sean Tucker would play more last week. Now, some of that might just be White was great, but I think he had 3 carries for 3 yards. I mean,
it did not look great.
He didn't play much, and when he got an opportunity, he didn't really show much. So, I mean, could you maybe kind of like, remember the Bengals gave you a 7th for Khalil Herbert? Could you give a 7th for Sean Tucker? I mean, sure, but how much is he actually changing this running back room? Probably not much. Like, if you're telling me, would I rather – now, I know Monungai's banged up, but assuming he's healthy, would you rather play Kyle Monungai or give up a 7th and play Sean Tucker? I don't know if there's really a difference. So, I'd probably just keep the draft pick. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, good
Honest-
questions.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Honestly, too, because we're talking about a lot of trade targets. Obviously, as any fan base, right? You want to improve your roster if you feel like you have a chance to compete. Where do you guys grade the Bears roster right now? Let's do it like 0 out of 100.
Like if it's like on Madden or something.
Yeah, just as this roster currently stands, again, injuries and all that. I'm just saying, like, the potential of this roster where we currently stand for the Bears, 0 to 100, where do you grade it?
It's like a B-, like an 81, 82. Like, Poles has certainly missed a lot, but it's not like this roster has no talent. I mean, I watch some teams in the league, and I'm like, they have no players.
Right.
Like the Giants without Neighbors, it feels like they have about 4 players, and they're all on their defensive line.
Yeah.
They're not talentless. They're, at the same time, though, in the division they play in, like, there's a gap between themselves and the Lions. Probably the Packers, too. Certainly the Vikings. Now, I think with the Vikings, I think they're better at quarterback, so that helps. So I'd say like an 81. I think their offensive line is above average, even though you have left tackle questions. I think it's above average with the chance of being really good if they continue to gel. I think the Caleb arrow's pointing up. I think their receivers are really good. I think their tight end duo should be better than the production we've gotten, but I still think that's a pretty good group. The running backs aren't great. Defensive line sucks, but I think the secondary fully healthy. If this is the version of Tyreek Stevenson moving forward, Colin, I mean, the trio, if once fully healthy now, when will that happen? I don't know. But like a healthy Jalen, this version of Tyreek and Kyler in the slot, that's about as good as it gets. I mean, I would say in the NFL. The safeties are good enough. The linebackers are good enough. So I think the back 7 on defense when healthy is pretty good. But the defensive line has a long way to go. You need upgrades at running back, and you might need another offensive tackle. The problem is where this team's weak is where you can't afford to be weak.
Exactly.
You can't be this bad on the defensive line. And while you've made some investments on the offensive line, it's still probably not good enough. So, yeah, that's the frustrating part of it.
We got Diane saying 90. We got McMuffin saying 79.
I think 90 is way too high.
Papa Taco says 65. Dwayne says negative 9,000.
That's not true.
Bear Down says 83. Scythe says 83. Clack says 79. Tim says 70. LaCour 82. William 84. Tim 77. Christopher Allen 71. 67. 85. 82.
If you're going like in that low 80s range, which it seems like that's where a lot of the common answers are.
Yeah, low 80s, high 70s.
While that's not bad, and Ryan Poles has done some good things, it is year 4. Like in year 4 of a rebuild, you should be better than like an 81.
Yes.
I don't know if you should be one of the necessarily like a top 5 roster, but like Brad Holmes in one extra year, he's done a much better job. Much better. I mean, it's not even close. We were looking at just his drafts. Forget like the free agency, all that stuff. I mean, he is just crushing it.
Like he's nailing the picks that you should nail, and then he's also finding value later in drafts.
The problem is Poles took this job and he hopped on the podium and said, "We're going to build this roster through the draft," and a lot of his successes have not been through the draft. The trade to get DJ Moore. The trades this offseason to get Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson. So, those moves are great, but you got to draft better. And look, the Caleb Rome, that's looking good, but that's top 10 picks. You should hit those.
Which, by the way,
if Tyreek's turning a corner, that's a good sign. But
I was going to ask you this, too. At what point are we considering Rome a blue chip?
I don't think we're there yet. I mean,
which is fair, but at what point would you kind of?
If he has a 1,200-yard double-digit touchdown, I mean, he's probably on that red-blue fringe going into next year. You'd probably need to see him start to repeat it next year, but I think he's already in red. I think 1 month into the year, I'll elevate him because I had him in that third tier. Mm-hmm. I forget how I color coded it, but I think he's already elevated into red. I think Caleb has elevated, he's not probably quite into red yet, but he's in whatever tier he's in, arrow up, a couple more really good performances. I think he probably enters that red discussion. But But yeah, I think Rome, out of the non-blue players on this team, is on the quickest trajectory to get to blue.
I mean, to me, he's just like and again, I'm looking around the NFL. Obviously, AJ Brown's had a bad year. That may be more offense. He's clearly still talented, but I mean, how many receivers just would you take over Rome Odunze for a game tomorrow? Obviously, he's got the future upside being so young as he is, year 2 and everything, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like the obvious ones, like you would take Jetta, you would take Chase.
You would take I think you would take AJ Brown.
You would still take AJ Brown
in the correct offense. You would take Puka probably.
Take Puka.
You would take whom else?
I'm looking at just teams here real quick.
So that's 4. Would you take
like I would have said Neighbors, but considering he tore his ACL, like if everything's factored in,
we'll leave Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, like every injured receiver off to the side.
I would take him over Tyreek regardless, given age, but
fair. But just Amon-Ra, you would take probably Amon-Ra.
I'd take St. Brown.
Yeah, St. Brown. So that's 5. CD when healthy, you probably.
I would take CD. Yeah, I would take CD.
Would
but
you
like Adams? Like I'd probably take Rome. I mean,
it's close.
I think in a one game you could debate that, but like if you're factoring in everything, like I would take Rome.
Just thinking of other receivers.
And like Nico Collins, would you take Rome or Nico?
Kind of close.
Yeah, like
kind of close.
He's entering the top 10 discussion.
Listen,
I don't know if you could firmly put him in there.
I've got 7 for sure names.
I mean, like just in his draft class, he's better than Marvin Harrison. You would take him over Brian Thomas Jr. right now, based on how he's looked this year. I mean, I'll leave Neighbors out of it because, look, Neighbors when healthy is unreal. But
6,
yeah, I mean,
I love my guy, but I mean that's a debate.
Jackson Smith-Njigba is in that combo. Yeah, you could debate. That's kind of just to pick your flavor. I think you could go either way there. Jason's a stud, so. Yeah, I mean, if he's playing like he is moving forward, then I mean, I'd take him over like all the top like T. Higgins. I'd take him over. Yep. I would take him over Jordan Addison. I would take him over all those Colts receivers that are pretty good but not great. You would take him over like Stephon Diggs, Garrett Wilson. I might take.
I'm a big fan of Garrett.
Garrett's
Wilson.
a dog. Dude.
I'm a big fan of Garrett.
I'd love to see Garrett play on a real team
with a real quarterback.
You said it, not me.
I'll say it. I don't have to answer super chats about it. Well, sometimes I do, but
you see less and less of them these days. All right, Posey. Let's go to Posey here.
We got my question.
Appreciate the 5.
Yep. Who wanted Dio and Jarrett? Was it Poles or Allen? Horrible signings. Also, same question on the 2025 draft class. Just not great.
These things are always collaborative, but typically the front office makes the final call. Now, I do think Ben has more pull here. Now, he's an offensive guy, so I don't think he's just saying, go sign Dio Odunze on his own. I mean, Dio is a Dennis Allen prototype with his size and length, but at the end of the day, Dennis Allen isn't signing contracts. Like, he might review a player's tape and say, yeah, I think this guy can help us. I can work with this guy. Poles raved about when Jared got cut, how they reviewed his film and how they still liked what they saw. Now, let's pump the brakes on the Jarrett slander. I clearly think the arrow's pointing down given his age, but like he's played through a knee issue. Like I don't think we've even seen him fully healthy other than like part of week 1. And part of bringing him in too, even if you overpaid a little to do it, was you just needed some more veteran leadership. He's kind of like the Joe Tooney of the defense, of just a guy that's been around now. Should you have given him $14.5 million per year? We can debate that, but like I'm not gonna completely dump that signing just yet. The Odunze one was always the one that made you think like, I hope they're right that his best football's ahead of him, because to me, you paid like an $8 to $10 million player $16 million a year. Like that's, I know you always overpay in free agency, but I don't know if you have to double what a player's probably worth. So, the question's hard to answer, Posey, because we're not in those meetings, so we don't know like what the final determining factors are.
Yeah, I will say like Dio to me like it. I think like my new kind of maybe rule is that if you're signing a player based on projection and he's already been in the league more than
contract,
like he's been in the league. What was it? 3 years before they
4
signed
years,
Flores?
and he missed his first year with a torn Achilles.
So
So he's
3
got
years
that
that
on
he
his
played, and
resume
then-
too.
I can't do it. Like, it's one thing if you're like, obviously with draft picks, right? You're sitting there, hey, you develop them, you can kind of get them in your system, what have you. Like, if it's year 3 or further along, and you're still betting on a guy's potential in the league, I just feel like you can't do that.
Especially
as a GM.
guaranteeing 2 years. Like, it'd be
Yes.
one thing. Look, if they gave him 1 year and 16, hell, even 18 million, like a big overpay out of 1 year, like, and it doesn't work out, oh, okay, like, that happens. Like, you took a swing, kind of a prove-it signing. If he works, you extend him. But, I mean, they're locked in with him through next year. Like, they just have to hope this improves. Now, it's been 4 games. It's not like it's just a complete flop. It's too early to make that determination, but yeah, it has not looked great since week 1. And we said at the time, like, okay, Dio popped against a backup left tackle. Let's see how he does against starters. Haven't really seen it. So hopefully it improves. And we're going to talk about the defensive line coming up here. And I have an idea that I would try with Dio that we heard they might do some, and they haven't really yet, I think, for varying circumstances. So we'll explain more next here on Chicago Bears Now. The Chicago Bears have a major problem on their hands that must be fixed, and really it needs to be fixed quickly if they're going to make a run this year. We'll tell you what it is and how maybe they can find some solutions coming up next. I'm Harrison Graham, and this Bears defensive line sucks. Let's talk about it here on Chicago Bears Now. Only 4 games in. It's not like it's a huge sample size, but let's face it, this defensive line is struggling in a major, major way. Shout out to Bears blog boy on social media. I see him on my feed sometimes. He put some good stuff out there. He said through 4 games, the Bears are dead last in QB pressure percentage. They are second to last in average time to pressure. That means quarterbacks almost have 3 seconds on average to throw. They are second to last in rushing yards before contact per attempt allowed, so which checks out. This team can't stop the run. They are 29th in PFF's grading system in defending the run. Somehow 22nd in their pass rush grade, which that feels generous, especially when you look at this other data. 5 sacks in 4 games, regardless how you get there, not very good. It goes further if you just want to take raw numbers. They have 5 sacks in 4 games. That's 1.3 sacks per game. That's 29th. And then they allow 6.2 yards per carry on the ground. Dead last at 30 seconds. 6.2 yards per carry. That's like a college stat. You don't see that in the NFL. That's really, really bad. And listen, stats get inflated early in the year. One really bad game, one really good game can inflate or deflate a stat. You give up 240 on the ground to the Raiders, that's going to hurt things. But let's be honest, you weren't defending the run well before that game either. You're not getting after the passer either. Montez Sweat's making $25 million per year. He's got 1 sack. Javon Dexter, year 3 as a second-round pick. He's got 1 sack. Dio Odunze, your big free agent signing, 1 sack. Dominique Robinson and Montez Sweat should not have the same amount of sacks. Tano Passanio, who when he did get his sack was a practice squad elevation, he should not be having the same amount of sacks as Javon Dexter, Dio Odunze, and Montez Sweat. That is just not going to cut it, and it's a bad combination. Look, it's hard to have a defensive front that's elite at stopping the run and at getting after the passer. It's hard. Like, there's only a few teams that do it. It's a combination of coaching, the proper resources being deployed. You're probably weak elsewhere. Okay, the Bears have invested, and they can't rush the quarterback, and they can't stop the run. Maybe it changes 4 games in, but that's a bad combination. The fact that the secondary, especially the last 2 weeks, without Jalen Johnson, without Kyler Gordon, has played as well as it has, considering the front 4 stinks, is pretty impressive. It's a testament to those guys and Dennis Allen finding something that is working on the back end. But if the front doesn't play better, it's going to be tough to have a solid defense throughout the course of 2025. I just want to ask straight up, can this group improve? Can the defensive line get better this year? Not long term, this year. Type Y for yes, type in for no. I want to say yes, and I do think yes. Major improvements, though, like is Montez Sweat going to flip a switch and be the player we saw after the trade a couple years ago? just kind of seems unlikely at this point. You're just hoping for some moderate improvements from him and some other guys. Let's talk about him. The decline's been frustrating. It's been staggering. It's been is unacceptable fair. You know, we kind of gave him not a full pass, but a slight pass last year because it was reported that he was playing with a foot injury a lot of the year. Like, okay, let's see how he comes out this year. Not much better, right? I mean, you look at his time in Chicago after the trade in 9 games. I thought he had the best year of his career when you combine his time in Washington and Chicago in 2023, and that included the part here. Not just, it's not like he was awesome in Washington and had average numbers here. He transformed that defense. That by the end of that year, and that's when Flus had his defense cooking the most. It was a really, really good unit, and Montez Sweat was a big reason why. He had never rushed the passer better. He was still defending the run well. And since then, you know, we can blame the foot issue last year, whatever the case may be, but not only is he not an impactful pass rusher, only a half more sack and more than double the games since 2023, but what he was always elite at in Washington was setting that edge as a run defender. He hasn't even done that at a elite level since then. He's okay at it, but you're not paying him to be an average player or even a good player. You're paying him to be very, very, very good and at times great. Do I expect him to be TJ Watt? Of course not. But I don't know. Is he the 40th best pass rusher in the league and you're paying him $25 million? Like, it's not even close to good enough. It's been a killer. When a guy making this much money is average from a production and just a play standpoint, it hurts. It really hurts. Your high-paid players need to produce, and he's just not. And it'd be one thing if, like, a draft pick was producing or, like, he was garnering so much attention and other guys were taking advantage of one-on-ones. That's not the case. It is just not the case. And, listen, we can blame Ryan Poles some, and I think we should, and we will here, but, like, it's not like they aren't trying at all. Like, they've made investments, and probably some of the wrong ones. But, like, when they traded for Sweat and he was playing like he was and they made that extension, did any of us feel like that was a bad contract? We'll come back to that, but, like, it's hard to, like, just hammer Poles for that one. Like, the player does have to play well. Dayo Odunze, that's a different story. Like, that felt like a reach at the time, and so far I would say it feels like a reach at $16 million per year. Grady Jarrett, certainly an overpay, older player. He is dealing with the knee issue. Part of that was bringing in a seasoned vet for leadership purposes, so that's not a contract that kills you, but it hurts when the two guys above him aren't producing. Like, if those guys were producing and Jarrett wasn't and he's overpaid, it's like, okay, you can live with that. Javon Dexter is a second-round pick. That's a real investment. Fine player, not a great player. Shamar Turner, jury's still out, obviously. Missed most of training camp. It's early, but that's a notable investment, a second-round pick. So the question is, like, who do you blame? Is it on Ryan Poles? Guys have to play better. Like, Montez Sweat, like, I have a hard time blaming Poles for that one. Listen, you always get judged for every move you make if it works and if it doesn't, but, like, the way Sweat was playing after they trade for him is worth the contract he has right now. But he's played nowhere near that since. Like, am I supposed to blame the GM for that? Now, Dayo Odunze, for what we've seen so far, fair criticism. Grady Jarrett, if we think that's an overpay, fair criticism. But I think it's a combination, and certainly he has to wear some of this. And if you get beyond the defensive line, Poles has made several errors, and they've made investments, though, and maybe a lot of them are the wrong ones. Maybe Shamar Turner's a bad player. Maybe Javon Dexter's never going to get there. If we want to blame him for Sweat, I guess we can do that, but no one was saying that at the time when he was playing like a fringe all-pro. We just haven't seen that player since then. So coming up next, we're focused on this year. We're focused on right now. We're not focused on the big picture roster, orchestration. Can Dennis Allen jumpstart this group? Can he find some solutions to get more out of his defensive line? We will talk about that. I have a few ideas that I would explore if I was the Chicago Bears. But first, I want to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I had a nice 3-player lineup last week and actually hit a couple of them, and I'm back for more this week. I'm glad to get some Bears players back in my lineup coming off the bye week. And a cool feature on Prize Picks is it's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in one lineup. Want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can. You can pick all of those in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. The way Prize Picks works is simple. You pick 2 to 6 player lineups, choose more or less on their stat projections, and if you hit, you win money. And I got a pretty sweet lineup I'm feeling good about for this upcoming Monday. Caleb Williams, more than 21.5 rushing yards. That number keeps decreasing, just saying. I like the value there. Jaden Daniels, more. I think he'll throw for at least one touchdown, as much as it sucks to say. And then Rome Odunze against the bad secondary, more than 64.5 receiving yards. I think so. Give me the more on that. $20 entry to win $85. Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right. So can this defensive line improve? That's the big question. And look, let's be real. Unless some major trade or something happens unforeseen, you're kind of just hoping this group can be average at this point this year. And listen, if they're average, hell, top 20, top 22, because right now this is a bottom 5 unit, with the way the secondary's playing, I think Tremaine's playing better this year. TJ's back. That maybe you're a top half of the defense, top 12 if that happens, because I think the back end's playing really well right now. I think one thing I would try with Austin Booker back and healthy, and depending on when you're watching this, maybe he's been activated off IR, maybe he hasn't, but he's going to be back soon, whether it's this week or in a week or two. I think immediately you give him snaps at edge. It's right away. You throw him in there. He popped in the preseason, and I know he did a little bit last year as well, and he didn't do a ton as a rookie, but I thought he added more to his arsenal. Like, last year he was kind of just an effort guy, which you appreciate, right? Like, you want guys with a relentless motor, but, he had a little spin move he was going to in the preseason. I think he's gotten stronger with his bull rush. I saw a guy who was starting to develop, and it looked pretty good in the preseason. Just results aside, I thought a guy who knew what he wanted to do before a lot of the snaps. And, that's the key to being an elite edge rusher. Like, you have to have a plan. Like, hey, on this play, I'm attacking this tackle this way. And I thought Booker was doing that a lot in the preseason. Something he also brings that, these pass rushers, especially off the edge, don't really offer is speed. Now, Dennis Allen likes those bigger, bulkier, stronger edge rushers, and that's great. And I'm not saying those guys can't have a role. They can dent the pocket. They can set the edge in the run game, although you're not getting that consistently. Maybe a different look would help. Like, Adangbo doesn't have much speed. Sweat isn't really a speed guy. Booker is. He has good speed, and he's gotten stronger. So that is one thing I would do immediately and just see what the results are, is give him more or give him a real snap package right away. If you're excited to see Austin Booker play, type me. I'm excited to see anybody try to rush the passer that hasn't this year, because you're not getting much, but specifically Book. I'm excited to see what he can do under Dennis Allen. Okay, number 2, and this is kind of as a result of the Austin Booker idea, giving him snaps, especially when Booker's in the game. Try Dayo Odangbo inside some. This was something they raved about when they signed him. Both Poles and Dennis Allen even mentioned it. Like, hey, this is a guy that can kick inside. He did it some in Indy. He's 6'6", 285. He can play some 3-tech. I would line him up on the interior, and especially in those NASCAR packages where you try to get your best pass rushers on the field, see if he can find some mismatches against some guards and some centers. Now, ignore the left side of this graphic, although that could be a conversation for a different day for the rushing offense for this team. Other than running behind Darnell Wright, you're having issues. But the run defense, you're just not productive there. And honestly, surprisingly, in the interior, like Andrew Billings not helping that much. Thought he was a little better against the Raiders, not that much help there. Javon Dexter has always been a better pass rusher than run defender. Grady Jarrett, he's been fighting through some stuff, but you've not been good at defending the run in the interior. So, if you're not stopping the run well already, why not put Odangbo inside? A, maybe he'll stop the run better, but B, maybe he can get a little interior pass rush going with him next to Javon Dexter. That is something I would try. And then lastly, we were saying it for a few weeks there, but I'll give Dennis credit. He found solutions the last 2 games. But now that you're getting some key guys back, I think you may just – the answer might not be it's just not going to come from the front 4. So what does that mean? You have to bring pressure. You have to blitz more. The Bears, while the blitz rate has been going up, they're still just 28th in the NFL at just over 17%. I might increase that to about 25. Top 10, top 12 in the NFL. You're not going to go crazy and go 35%. This isn't, the principles of this defense isn't, full Brian Flores, but I would dial it up a notch. I would continue to increase that. And now with Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards back, you can trust that back 7, especially with how Tyreek's been playing recently. I think part of the fear from Dennis was, oh God, we have Nashawn Wright, Tyreek, who wasn't playing well the first couple of games. If I blitz and get burned, guys are just going to be running free. Well, now you're healthier on the back end. I think you can take more chances. And with these two guys specifically, these are two guys that you can blitz. Right? TJ Edwards, good blitzing linebacker. Kyler Gordon, you can blitz him off the nickel spot. So if I'm Dennis Allen, I'm more willing to take those opportunities and those chances and just dial it up, because this front four is just not winning consistently. It's as simple as that. There's even data out there that even in one-on-one opportunities, Dangbo and Sweat, they're kind of middle of the pack so far, and that is they are not living up to their contracts. And listen, we can have big picture discussions about the roster construction, but in reality right now, you got what you got. Maybe you make a trade or something, but today, I think these are things I would try if I was Dennis Allen. All right, there you have it. The Bears' defensive line, a major problem, and it's something that needs to be fixed or at least improved as quickly as possible. If they can find some solutions, then okay, maybe you got something here defensively. If not, you're banking a lot on your play caller and on the back seven. All right, super chat coming in from Roast Beef. Harrison Graham from the University of Roast Beef. I actually don't really like roast beef, believe it or not.
Not a big Arby's guy.
No.
I'm not either.
Not an Arby's guy. Good curly fries.
Did you see they came out with like steak bites recently?
Well, I saw they had like a Philly cheesesteak recently come out. So they've kind of expanded their menu over the years. Don't they have a burger now? I think I saw.
Maybe they do. I could
not tell you the last time. I went to Arby's. I've only been a couple times in my life, and if you ask me if I've been in the last 10 years, I'd pretty confidently say no. So
I'm willing to bet I would echo that sentiment. The thing is and Ethan nailed it. Only good for the fries. The curly fries are some of the best in the fast food game, but that's about it. And to be honest, I don't know about you, I'm never a guy that's just willing to go to a fast food place just for fries.
Yeah, exactly. Their fries aren't so otherworldly that I'm going to drive through and just pick up some curly fries. They're good, but
yeah.
If I'm in a group and they go to Arby's, I'll order some curly fries.
That's about it. Yeah.
Again.
And then you question the friendship of why did they suggest going to Arby's?
Yeah, and luckily that hasn't happened. So, like I said, I haven't been there in over a decade, I would gander to say. So
Riley says, Harrison and Cullen, shout out to you guys from a Lions fan. You guys are awesome, phenomenal passion. Salute.
Let's go.
Shout out to you, Riley. And then we got a super chat from B. Shep. Did you go to Hallis Hall High School, Harry? Because someone's claiming you did.
Did not. Did not. That would be a negative.
Well, we appreciate the super chat, B. Shep.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, only order curly fries. I'll ask you this, because we'll get the super chat on screen. What's the go-to, if you're going to not make something at home, what's the go-to place y'all go to whenever you're getting food for a Bears game?
Yeah, do you guys go wings, pizza?
Let us know down in the chat. As B. Shep here on screen.
I do live and breathe Bears football, B. Shep, as you followed up in the chat. It's definitely you guys would be amazed how much, if I'm just, at home or laying in bed or whatever, how much I'm thinking about this godforsaken football team. But that's what we do, man. I'm not a Cubs fan, but I am rooting for the Cubs. I'm not a Cubs fan. I like the Cubs. I was rooting for them in 2016.
Yes.
Big time.
Yeah.
I wanted them to win that year.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for them this year. I hope they make a run.
Ethan says
Got 'em win
Chipotle.
tonight.
Tony says wings. Tacos every time from Duke. Wings and pizza from Daniel.
Cubs are cooked. Has the game started? Or no, it's later, isn't it?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Cullen's he's kind of in shambles with his Mariners.
Oh, they fucking shit the bed yesterday.
Give me a confidence level. 1 to 10.
Honestly, below a 5. You're
4.
asking a team to beat Scooball. I didn't even realize this because I knew the Mariners were 4-2 against the Tigers during the regular season. They had already beaten Scooball twice in the regular season. And then they beat them in game 2.
They've proven they can do it at least. Now,
You're
on the flip side, it's just beating that guy that many times, that's tough sledding. But
make you all a deal. Cubs beat the Brewers, Mariners beat the Tigers. Who
let's
says
go.
no?
Who says no?
I'd love to make that deal right now.
Who
but
says no?
yeah, I'm about a 4. That's honestly being generous.
How much of that is just the fact that they haven't won a playoff series? Does that factor into that equation, or are you just solely?
Oh yeah, previous experiences. Like I've told people, like I'm football guy obviously through football season. Watch basketball and everything, and then once basketball season ends in June, I'm like, all right, that's when I normally start watching baseball, and then football usually ramps up because normally the Mariners just take themselves out of it. So normally I'm not even in this position. And now that we're here, it's
They've
just
been
like,
pretty decent the last few years.
they have been. They've been growing. They're a younger team, but I don't know. We'll see. I seriously, I really do hope the Cubbies win, though, too. I think the Cubs.
Game 5 back in Milwaukee would be fun.
Yeah. Oh, Xavier's a Brewers fan. Ugh. Boo. Appreciate you joining in, though. All right, we got one more super from Roast Beef. Said, stopped eating from the stress of being a fan. So you just don't eat anymore?
I feel like most people go the other way. They stress eat.
Yeah.
So kudos, Roast Beef.
Shout out to you. How about McAllister's?
I like McAllister's. It's not really a game day food.
Yeah, I'd eat it if, like, I'm out to lunch or something.
Yeah, we'll get it every once in a while. Like on the weekends, we'll order it for lunch. It's a good lunch spot. Wouldn't really do it for dinner, and definitely not like if I'm at home, like tonight, Thursday night football, I wouldn't. McAllister's wouldn't even be on the radar.
No. I'm a big Wingstop guy, personally.
Wingstop's underrated. Good chain wings.
Ethan says favorite Chicago pizza spot. Well,
when I was there last year, I went to both Lou's and Giordano's. I like Gio's a little more. I like them both, but I like Gio's a little more. I got to try a lot of the other ones, though, when I'm there next. So
I will say, I definitely do have to make it up to Chicago at some point, maybe at some point during the offseason. Y'all let me know. Obviously got to try Portillo's from Chicago. Like, it's different having Portillo's down here versus up there, but
honestly, all the, like, hole-in-the-wall Italian beef spots, so good. I could have eaten that every meal up. Absolutely electric. All right. We got to get out of here, so let's get into our last segment, and then we will call it a day. By the way, I should tease this, and I'll mention it before we sign off. Cullen and I, since the Bears play on Monday and since the bye week last week, I was feeling a little FOMO last week. Didn't have a watch party. We're going to go live on the channel Sunday, and type me in the chat if you'll join us. Actually, type FGB. We're going to go live around 3:15 or so on Sunday ahead of Packers-Bengals. We'll kind of do a Packers-Bengals. It'll be more casual, but we'll keep tabs on that game. Also, the the Bucks and I keep forgetting who they're
Bucks
playing.
49ers.
Bucks 49ers. So if you guys want to join us for a little Sunday afternoon live stream, watch party, whatever you want to call it, and then of course we'll be live Monday night. Get the FGBs in the chat if you're going to join us, because I will be cheering my ass off for Joe Flacco to beat the Packers once again. Can lightning strike twice for the ageless wonder?
I've always said Flacco's elite. He's just one of those guys who gets it done.
He's elite. All right, FGB
in the chat. Yeah, it's a rare non-Bears watch party for Harry and I, and I'm excited because, as y'all know, FGB forever.
Let's go. We are hate watching the Packers. That is right, Osmonic. All right, let's get into our last segment, and then what's up, Tony? We got John, Jay, NWA, Jai Sheik, Robert, bunch of legends in here. All right, last segment here before we sign off. All right, our Week 6 subscriber battle continues here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We are at 439 new subscribers this week. I feel good about that. But the Commanders Report is right on our heels. A little secret for you guys, they randomly have videos that pop off for like 200 new subscribers. So if you want to take them down in new subscribers and on the field on Monday night, hit that subscribe button. Free and daily Bears content. All right. Caleb Williams opened up about the game last year. His thoughts on that, how he handled it then, how he's trying to handle tough moments moving forward. And he hit on a few other topics as well in his latest press conference, and I thought we would just kind of react to all of that here because I thought he had some good stuff to say overall. But let's talk about the game last year. He was obviously asked about the loss to Washington and, if he was still upset about it, so on and so forth. Here's what he had to say this week. Quote, he says, "Does it still sting? Obviously, you never want to lose, especially in that fashion on a Hail Mary. So does it bother me? Yeah, in the sense of I want to win every game that we got." And, you know, he had a little bit more in that answer, and it was kind of one of those where it's like, it bothers him. I don't think he's like dwelling on it so much. And I think there's a happy medium there. Like, I hope it bothers everyone who was on the team last year, right? Because that derailed the season. And these players, not just on the coaches, they kind of let it derail the season, right? I mean, look at what happened after there. You lose 9 more in a row, 10 straight losses total. 3 of those were consecutive divisional heartbreaks. That overtime game against the Vikings, you have the field goal blocked against the Packers, and then we all know what happened on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions, the end of Matt Eberflus. Shane Waldron was fired in that stretch. Matt Eberflus was fired in that stretch. Like, regardless of the reasons, who to blame, that loss was the end of the season. It completely derailed the season, and there's plenty of blame to go around. The coaches certainly deserve blame. The players deserve blame. It collapsed. And so I hope it still bothers them. That doesn't mean you need to make this game more than what it is. But at the same time, like, I'm expecting a little bit of intensity here when it comes to this game on Monday night. I want to ask you as a fan, does last year's loss to Washington still bother you? Because it still bothers me. I've been thinking about it all week. I've been playing that Hail Mary in my head all week long because they're going to be showing it a lot. And to me, there's a little extra juice in this matchup. There's been some beef on social media. I'm sure you guys have seen that as well. Like, it still bothers me because it derailed the whole season last year and it completely fell apart. So I'm typing my Y for yes. I want to know if you guys are still bothered by it. All right, Caleb also discussed his and the team's approach to this week. Now that they're playing them again, it's almost a year later, all that stuff. Here's what he had to say. He said, being able to orchestrate this game and this week and having the guys focus on what we need to focus on, that's where I'm at. We're not trying to go down the rabbit hole of revenge or anything like that. It's being able to focus on us. This team is different than last year. The coaching is obviously different. A bunch of things are different. So being able to focus on us and leading these guys the way they need to be led and being able to focus on what we need to focus on to be able to go win a game, that's where we're at. And look, I did a full preview about, and I titled it Make It Personal. And I still mean that, but I don't mean it in a way of you can't make this game more than what it is. And the revenge element is probably a bigger thing among fans because, listen, if you have too much of that as a player, that's where you can get into trouble. Are you playing through after the whistle? Are you getting personal fouls? Are the emotions taking over? Because you're going to be on the road. It's a tense environment. Sure, there's going to be emotions involved, but you got to stay focused. You got to stay dialed in. This game isn't about last year, at least not for the players. Sure, when it's over and they win and they're asked, does it feel good to beat them after last year? I would expect the answer to be yes. But at the end of the day, it's a 60-minute football game, just like it was 2 weeks ago against the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think it's probably something that's there for the guys who were on the team last year. But what you don't want to do is all week hype it up. Yeah, we're here to get revenge. It's all about righting that wrong from last year. Like, it's about winning a football game at the end of the day. And I think the revenge angle of it, like, that's more for me and you, right? Like, that's a talking point for us, even if it's not a complete nothing burger for the players. You don't want to make it more than what it is. Today's show is sponsored by Ethos. Get yourself life insurance, folks. It's important. It's one of the most important investments you can make in your family. Now with Ethos, you can get covered and protected in minutes with rates as low as $2 per day, billed monthly. You can also get up to $3 million in coverage. As a husband and as a father, having life insurance is absolutely critical. It's something I do not take lightly. Ethos is revolutionizing the industry when it comes to life insurance with a 100% online process and can provide protection for you and your loved ones. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. They have no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. Their 100% online and hassle-free process makes it very easy to apply. You'll get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. So don't take my word for it. Take theirs. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/NFL daily. That is ethos.com/NFL daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary as well. That link is in the comments and description of this video. Do not mess around. Life insurance is critical. Ethos has awesome coverage. Ethos.com/NFL daily to get started today and to get a free quote. Okay, Caleb also was asked, hey, what did you learn, about losing an emotional game like that and how things unraveled after? Like, what did you learn about how to handle those situations? And here's what Caleb had to say on that. He said, I learned that I got to do a better job in those situations. We had those first 2 games this year, and I think I did a better job of coming into the facility and moving on. Those are tough games, especially to start the season against divisional opponents. So being able to come in here, be the same guy, but also understand that my energy, my attitude, how I come in here, whether it's a win or loss, affects everyone in the building. I think it starts with myself when things aren't going right or when they are, and being the same guy. And I think that is important. And I think when you think back to when Ben first took the job, and remember he was like, hey, something we talked about with certain guys was like body language, kind of talking about attitude. I think Caleb probably fell into that bucket. Like, hey, you're the quarterback. Your energy, how you are when things are going good, but especially when things aren't, like it matters. It matters. So you have to be that level-headed guy and people that gravitate toward you. You can't force leadership onto someone, but you can emphasize how you act in terms of like just how you carry yourself, how you communicate with your teammates, your coaches. And something I've seen really going back to the offseason, training camp, and especially up to now is like I see maturation. And we talked about that with Tyreek Stevenson this week. I see a more mature, level-headed guy in Caleb Williams. I think he understands to be a franchise quarterback. Part of that is the leadership aspect of it. And everyone leads differently. And some guys are natural at it. Some guys aren't. Some guys are vocal. Some guys aren't. I don't think you have to be a rah-rah guy to be a leader, but you have to be someone that teammates can look toward. And I think I've seen a guy that seems more approachable this year than probably we saw last year, if we're being completely fair. And I think we got to give Ben Johnson a lot of credit for that, this coaching staff. I think they have built a kind of, I don't know if community is the right word, but a locker room of accountability. Hey, we're going to hold you guys accountable, hold us accountable, let's do this thing together. And I think Caleb has really, really bought into that and understanding that, like, whether he likes it or not, and I think he does like it because he's been a quarterback his whole life, like, the eyes are on him, not just on the outside, but especially those inside the building. And then lastly, and we talked about this a little bit last week, we did a full video about this, but he was asked about, hey, why do you feel comfortable in crunch time situations when it's time to go score to tie or take a lead? This is what he had to say. He said, I think it gets to a point where it's just a switch in my mind, in our minds, talking about the rest of the team, that it's our time. It's time to go win the game. Nothing else matters. Nothing is more important than that play, drive, or moment. You take a deep breath, give yourself some positive information, and be as calm as you can with your teammates. Listen, there's haters out there. There's glazers out there for all players in all sports. One thing that I don't think you can dispute, we've seen it time and time again, is in big spots, Caleb has played well, and he has delivered. Now, for varying circumstances, they have not always won, despite him putting them in position to either go kick a game-winning field goal or taking a late lead and then, defense giving up a Hail Mary or a coach not call. Whatever the case may be, they haven't always won, but on more than 1 or 2 occasions in his short career, he has delivered in a big spot. 6 that come to mind immediately, and there were a few others you could point to as well. Obviously, this game last year drove him down not once, but twice. To take a lead. The first time, Shane Waldron decided to hand the ball off to Doug Kramer, and that was a disaster. But, hey, came back down, did it again, gave him a lead with less than 30 seconds left, and then you gave up the Hail Mary, lost that game. 2024, erased a 3rd and 19 and a 4th and 3 to get a first down, put them in field goal position with more than 30 seconds left. Instead of trying to get an even closer field goal and trusting your quarterback, Matty Eberflus ran the clock down, and Cairo Santos had that field goal blocked, and they lost by 1 point. Against the Vikings the next week, down 2 scores late, forces overtime. Yes, in overtime, Caleb took a bad sack and they lost, but he put them in position to have a chance. Against Detroit on Thanksgiving, leads a comeback, driving them down the field. I'll give him a small percentage of the pie in terms of not getting that playoff quick enough, but we all know Matt Eberflus should have called that timeout. They lost that game when at least they should have been in overtime. Week 18 against the Packers, they actually won that game when he led a two-minute drive once again and got a game-winning field goal there. We saw it against the Raiders, calm 5-6 minute drive to take the lead and win that game as well. The point I'm making is look, is Caleb a finished product? Absolutely not. There's still some inconsistency things that over time should and we expect to get tightened up. But in big spots, 2-minute drills, gotta have it situations, as he calls it, I'm pretty confident in him. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One, I think he is a big believer in himself, almost too much at times. But being overconfident at quarterback when you have the physical tools he has, I think is a good thing. And two, I think a lot of it is just like, what was he doing in college? No huddle, shotgun, snap, go. You're not thinking, right? I mean, you're not literally not thinking, but like you're thinking less because you have to get the plays going quickly. So that's where he's really comfortable. And the good signs is he's improved in the other areas, just the slow it down, the huddles, the multiple play calls, the pre-snap checks. Like I've seen a lot of growth there, but those 2-minute drill spots, he's very comfortable because it's a lot of shotgun and you're just taking the snap and you're finding the matchup and you're delivering the football. He's very, very confident and comfortable in those situations. So, if you get to a spot here against Washington this weekend where you need to drive late, doesn't mean he's going to for sure deliver. You're not going to bat 1,000, but I feel pretty confident that he's going to give you a chance to win. So that is something that he clearly is comfortable with. And I think regardless of what side of the aisle you're on with Caleb Williams, you're lying to yourself if you don't think he's a pretty damn good player in crunch time situations, because he's proven it way more often than not that he's good in those situations. All right, do you trust Caleb Williams in crunch time, in clutch spots? Type T for trust or D for don't. I absolutely do. I feel great about him in those situations. We've seen it time and time again. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's show. Don't forget to subscribe on the way out. We will continue to get you guys ready for Monday Night Football. Bear down. All right, Chase, is Booker full practice? He was full. You want to flash that injury report for both teams before we get out of here for those just joining us. The DNPs, Jaquan Brisker with a quad, Grady Jarrett with a knee. Kyle Monungai, a new addition. He has a thigh, so we'll see tomorrow when they practice again. Darnell Wright. These are estimates, by the way. They didn't practice today, but they practiced the last 2 days, so I'm guessing it's based off that. Darnell Wright with an elbow. I don't think he's playing this week, but keep an eye on Brisker and Monungai there. Gordon was limited. Hopefully he's full tomorrow. He said he's playing this week, but Booker was full. So if they like what they see out of in practice this week, I would expect they activate him to the 53. The question is who goes to IR, who gets cut. They could cut like a DeMarco Jackson, or do you cut Tano Passanio? If you activate Travis Homer too, is Roschon a cut candidate? But if Monungai is not healthy, you probably would have to keep Roschon. So there's a few different guys. Who was the guy they put on the Carl Jones? You could cut him again. He's a guy that's kind of shuffled in and out. So there's a few options there, but if they activate those two players, they'll have to make corresponding moves. And then for Washington, Cullen, the notable one is Terry McLaurin. It does not sound like he's going to play this week. Debo didn't practice, but I think that's more of a rest thing than an injury.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cosme going to be playing this week. He's going to be kind of a factor on their offensive line.
That's an upgrade over Andrew Wiley.
Interested to see if Noah Brown plays. I mean, all three of the Commanders' top wide receivers showing up on this injury report is not something that you'd love to see if you're rooting for the Commanders. But as you mentioned in the video earlier, Luke McCaffrey, kind of an interesting prospect.
Starting to emerge.
Yeah, he could be a factor, so somebody to keep an eye on if you're the Bears. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the injury report progresses throughout the week. We'll have to ultimately wait and see. We got one more super chat from the Notcast. Says deep dish is for tourists. Being from Chicago, we eat Chicago pub style way more often than deep dish. I literally have had deep dish maybe 3 times in a year. FGB.
Yeah, I like their tavern style much better. I had both, but I like tavern style much better. So I'm with you, Notcast. I'm with you. All right. Well,
you guys ready to join us on Sunday for a little hate watch of FGB? In fact, you know what? To end the show, let's get an FGB chant going down below. I'll give some shout-outs before we head
all
out of
right,
here.
get some FGBs in. We will be live Sunday between 3 and 3:25. We're going to go live for that afternoon slate, which includes the Packers-Bengals game. Since we missed a watch party last week, wanted to do that. And then, of course, we'll be live Monday night, obviously. So, by the way, stay tuned for we got a month long. I think we're going to do the rest of this month. Stay tuned for a pretty cool signed item we got. I don't want to give it away here, but I think you guys are going to be excited about this one for those who want to enter that opportunity. So stay tuned for that. I think we'll debut that on Sunday and then obviously bring it out Monday as well. So
Absolutely. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to Osmonic, John, another John, Tony, Bumble Wall Street, Santana, Tim, Tony, Adam, Santana, Tony. Steven says FGB shout out Harrison Cole. Appreciate you. Bumble Wall Street, John, Ethan, Robert, Bumble Wall Street. All right. That's everybody. We hope to see y'all Sunday.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all Sunday. We'll have some content between now and then as well. So hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Awesome college football slate. I'll be enjoying that as well. See you guys then. Bear down.